Hey y'all, welcome to the Heart of the Podcast with MSTC. I'm Mel.
I'm George.
I'm Joseph.
And I'm Nick.
So we wanted to talk about some of our locals, regionals, YCS. We just had a YCS in Lyon finish up. We have another one coming up in the 3v3. So we wanted to talk about a little bit about our experiences with some of those different venues. Do any of you want to start with how we sort of start with locals and we'll work our way up?
Oh, I didn't do locals this week. I only play tested with you guys. I was playing Telefon FTK.
Mhm.
Love. I'm in love with the deck all over again. That was like peak Yu-Gi-Oh for me. Peak. The only time I've ever had more fun was when I was summoning Zexel.
I'm chronically bad at going to locals for so many reasons. So, you know,
Well, you guys are super helpful in this topic.
Well, no, I know you
Hell
and
yeah.
Joseph was locals, and you guys did pretty well. Like, I guess all things considered.
I meant locals just in general.
Oh.
Very nice, guys. Very nice.
No, keep this in. Don't cut
Whoops.
this out. Don't cut this out. Keep this in. This is raw.
We definitely practiced before. No lies.
No, we did.
Right.
Oh, we have. We have a good local scene. Comparatively, it's pretty solid, honestly.
What about it makes it good? Tell me. Talk to me.
Well, even though, like I said, I don't go super often, but that doesn't change the fact that like there's a lot of people that go, and we
A
have
lot
a
of
lot
people
of
is
people.
good.
A lot
Yeah.
of people are very enthused. There's a good community. We have several group chats. Everyone's really friendly. The pricing isn't bad. It's not super expensive. Honestly, it's just solid. Like compared to from what I've heard about other places around the country, some people have trouble getting like 4 people together. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I agree with Nick. I think I think we have like a good group of people. To Nick's point, everybody's super friendly. Everybody's genuinely there to enjoy the game. I know that recently we've had like new players join in, and I don't think anybody's been anything else but like receptive of them and willing to help them learn the game the way it should be played. And yeah, I think it's great. I think like it's my I guess my the only complaint is like I wish it was a little bit more competitive. But I also understand that you know um the particular logos that we're talking about is not they don't focus all their time on Yu-Gi-Oh. And if we're talking about GC, that is, it's its own different beast. I feel like when we go there, it's you know,
Regional every day.
get your game on.
It's yeah. Well, we live in a pretty populated area, so it's not a surprise to me that we have like some good solid places like GC if you want to be super competitive.
Yeah, but I do appreciate that, if you want to like just kind of like hang out, have a good time and play, and you can, we can go to Squiggy's, and if we want to like be ultra competitive, we just take a longer drive down to GC, and then we can play with some really really big names over there, and learn different tactics and different like strategies that are I don't think that we would learn because during casual play.
Yeah, I feel like locals are really, especially ours, are really good. And we're fortunate in the place that we're in that there are what you were kind of alluding to, George, of like competitive. There are more casual locals, then there's a more competitive one. So casual would be like Squeakies, Encore is a little more competitive, and then Gamer's Choice is like, do you want to prepare for regionals and YCSs? Go there. Uh, which I think is really cool just to have that. And yeah, our local scene is really cool. How do we feel about regionals?
Hmm.
Felt like I was ready, and then my barrier statue got hit, rip, and now I feel like let's go back to the drawing board, which is why I'm swapping over to the Telefon FTK. But to Joseph's point, I know he did bring it up on Friday that Mathmex are, they're gonna be a good deck coming up, and I didn't believe him, but I've started seeing some success with Mathmex also. So I mean, I'm not even sure what I'm gonna play next, and this is what I love about like that small period between um a big ban list and when the meta is actually defined. Like you can play literally whatever you want, and as long as you're a good pilot and the deck isn't trash, like you'll do well. So this is like the period of Yu-Gi-Oh, which is like I can literally pick up anything and feel like I'll do well. But once the meta's defined, I think it's going to be a lot harder to play like certain decks that I enjoy.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead, Nick.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I agree with you, George. It's a fun time actually to be playing Yu-Gi-Oh and to be involved with it. I'm in a similar boat. I might so I might continue to pilot Flu because I feel like it can definitely still see some strong success. Um, I don't think Statue was what kept that deck together. I think Statue was just kind of unfair. So I'm gonna try it. I think I'm gonna run a couple of in archetype cards and maybe some outside archetype cards. I think that deck can still be quite nice, especially if you catch people off guard if they're not planned. Might buy cash and play that if I have extra money. And I was talking to some of you guys about this. Now that the Bastiles are a little bit less in the format, and with a lot of the Neos stuff coming out, there's a strong chance I bring back Heroes and modify that build a little bit and play a little bit of a Neos build. I think it could be quite good. I think the problem was that the Bastiles just shut you down. So a lot to think about. I think if I were to go to a regional, if I had it on hand, Kashtira for sure. If not, probably Flu and just test out a couple of different things. There's a couple of things I want to try.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
Joseph, what about you?
Well, I was really hoping to take Mikanko, Libermancer,
Mm,
but that got hit pretty severely with
oh,
Elk being gone. Yeah, and it was a pretty big key piece in the combo. So I mean, I've been trying to recuperate it, and it's still a good deck. Obviously, there's a lot of potential to it, a lot of unexplored wins, might I say. It's just there's still a lot of room for growth with that deck, and the Mekanko engine itself is still like finding its place where I'm gonna be able to like succeed with it. Um, but I I think at the moment I'm gonna stick to set 5 pass in Labyrinth,
mhm.
and until I can cook up some good builds for the deck, then I'll see what I can play for regionals. But I mean I'm looking forward to like going to as many regionals as possible. Last year I didn't really get the chance to, so
Yeah,
definitely wanted this year.
nice. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think regionals give me. I think regionals are one of my uh, favorite events just because there's so many people and it's a good chance to like meet up with people that you might not like. That was where the first regional that we went to was where I got to rekindle a relationship with a friend of mine, Xavier, who's been on the podcast. That was really cool to just see him and then see a bunch of other people that you either go to locals with or you haven't seen in a while. I feel like regionals are a good place to just get to know people, and you get to play more Yu-Gi-Oh than you usually do because they have side events. But you're also playing like 9 or 10 rounds compared to locals where it's only like 4 to 5 unless you're at Gamer's Choice, and then it's like 6 or 7. Um, when we like, I probably will start. I broke it down to 3 decks pretty much. I have Sword Soul Tenyi, which I'm really enjoying. Surprisingly, Plunder has been a lot of fun. Jord is not making the same impact that I thought he would, and I think the Plunder community overall, I think, is feeling the same way. Like he's a very good card, and it's a really good go first option, but especially in a format that um, people can use the token to their advantage. It's not always as good to have a what's it called, to have give them a token so that you can play. And then Dark World is Joseph, you mentioned this a while ago.
Mm.
Dark World is one of those decks that got a lot of support, and you couldn't play it under Tier because Dark World loses to all the same stuff Tier does, and Tier just stomps on Dark World. And now that Tier is no longer the dominant deck that it was, Dark Worlds are now able to just like go off. We have somebody that we know who just started playing the game, and he picked up Dark World, and despite him being at a tournament for the first time, he won like I think a game or two,
Yeah, he won
which
two. He won half 2-2.
I was blown away because I'm like, this is not only is Dark World an extremely complicated deck, he had an incomplete extra deck, and he's still relatively new to the game.
Yeah.
So I think it just speaks a lot to like, you know, not hard once per turns in general, just make things very fair, and Dark Worlds don't have a lot of once per turn effects.
Right.
which is crazy. And then I think all of us at this point have been to a YCS. For our listeners who have never been to one, what did you all think of the YCS that we went to or that we've gone to?
Um, really fun, honestly. Great time, and we went to Niagara. Well, the only YCS I've ever been to is Niagara. I've gone to a couple of regionals, but it was really nice, really well organized. I got some really cool merch. And I didn't do any of the side events because I did well enough that day to like actually potentially keep playing. So but it was neat. I liked it a lot, and I was impressed, honestly, by how nicely it was run. Um, Overall, really good experience. I'd like to do one again. I think like for those of us our listeners who have never been to one, if you've been to a regional but not a YCS, think like a regional with some more direct Konami involvement, and there's a little bit more structure and more like side events. It's cool. I really liked it a lot.
I
Mhm.
wouldn't say structure, but it's it is a lot of fun. It's I think for YCS is you do see a lot more names, right? It's I think it's more hyper competitive than just the regular regionals. I feel like yeah, regionals are cool. Don't get me wrong. It's regionals are definitely a step above locals, but it's also um it's not a YCS. YCS is you know I feel anyway like you're gonna play people that have a really good record under their belt. I forget what his name was in YCS Niagara that I played in round one, and he had won like previous like YCS's like overseas and shit. And again, I do it to myself sometimes. I like psych myself out because when I don't know who I'm playing, then I feel like I play better. And then when I feel like, oh shit, I'm playing somebody that's actually somebody or that's won tournaments before, then it's like, oh fuck. Like I get into my own head. But I mean that's just me. Anyway, but yeah, so YCSs are great. I feel like there's a lot of like different vendors bringing a lot of different stuff. Things that you're looking for. There's a huge possibility that you're gonna just find it there. Um, and just like overall, I feel like for the most part, I don't think I've ever met anybody at a YCS that wasn't like just like super cool and just kind of there to play the game and just like genuinely enjoy it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think the YCSs, I've been to two of them, both incredibly, I thought they were extremely well organized. Aside from like I love pre-registration, but their pre-registration system is really frustrating to use because to new people, it's not clear
Oh my
that
God, I know. Yeah.
your deck list stuff, it's whenever if viewers, listeners, if you plan on going to a YCS, you have to register your deck list ahead of time. If you are going to go to another one, delete whatever deck list you put in there. Don't save it because if you if you keep it in there, it's going to and you accidentally submit it, it's going to be an old deck list and it's not clear that that's what's happening. But pre-registration is amazing. It saves so much time and headache because instead of spending the night before at a regional trying to figure out what to do or what to side, it forces you to be like make your decision by Thursday night or Friday morning, and then just practice if you really want to do that or take some time in. The YCSs are also really useful in terms of a judge's perspective. It's the only place you can take a level 2 test, so it's really nice for that because if you're not doing super well in the YCS, it gives you a reason to like continue to stay there to take that test because then you can sort of show your knowledge and become a level 2 judge, which allows you to become a head judge. The side events are always really cool. Again, that Rivalry of Warlords format is one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I think just in general, it gives you an excuse to travel. Like there's quite a few YouTubers or YouTubers and Instagram people who are like, it. I don't even care that I'm necessarily winning or losing. I get to go places that I've never been before. Like the amount of Yu-Gi-Oh people that got to go to Lyon for the first time, or like I wouldn't have gone to Canada necessarily, but that gave me an excuse to go there, and we got to hang out by the falls. I got to do a nice
Yeah,
little
we actually
run
like
by the
we
falls.
walked over and crossed the bridge, like, which
Mhm.
was pretty cool. Like hindsight, I was like, I mean, sorry, during it was like, God damn it, like all this walking sucks. But then like hindsight, it's like, wow, that's pretty cool. Like we literally walked from New York to Canada, like
Yeah.
different country, which is fucking awesome. But yeah, you're right. Like YCSs are definitely cool in that sense where you can you would go places that you normally probably would never go,
Yeah.
and you get to explore, right? Like you might do very well and you might not, but I think like either way, you're gonna meet some really cool people along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think one of the things you mentioned, George, that I thought was really pertinent is like you'll get to see cards that you like. Yes, you can find it on TCG Player or eBay, but like being able to see the card in person is there's nothing like it. Like just being able to see like, oh, they have these extremely rare cards that like I was thinking about getting, and I'm having a really bad day at the YCS or whatever. So let me just like pick this up to make me feel better. Like little things like that I think are really cool.
Yeah, I've always said it. Like I think like there's one thing like like when you if you have like an expensive card or like a dream card that you really wanted sitting in your cart for days, weeks, or months, and you're just like looking at it like one day I'll pull the trigger one day, but then when you have it right there in front of you, and it's like nah, like you said, you're having a bad day, maybe you might not be doing too well, and you're like, you know what, whatever, I'm just gonna buy it now, and then it's like money's not real at that point.
That's right.
Money
Joseph,
is that.
yeah, right. What even is money? Joseph, you had a very unique experience going to the YCS.
That's
How do you
right.
feel about them?
Um, we're referring to the one in where I just took the train overnight.
Correct.
No, oh, in
Yep.
the morning.
3 in the
It
morning.
was yeah, it was great. I actually enjoyed it. Had it not been I prepared a little better, I actually no. I guess I was just bad at planning. But my first time going, I showed up late, got a round one loss, and I was like, that's fine. I'm still gonna win the whole entire event. And I'm sure, but most of you know, I did not end up winning the event. Uh,
You were on Sword Soul at the time, correct?
yeah, I was on Sword Soul, and I guess I just was wildly unprepared because Therion had just been taken out, and there's Punk. Punk was everywhere. It was a weird time in the format where there was too much to prepare for, and which is what I do love because you just get and everybody has a chance. Um, but yeah, I loved the YCS. It was fun. Um, get to hang out with your friends and just have a grand time. I remember us stopping at the restaurant and grabbing margaritas or drinks or whatever it was.
Yeah, that was cool. Like
Yeah,
it was, I can't remember which one it was, but we're like, are you closed? And they're like, you guys can be the last customers. And then
yeah,
it was a cool, just like wind down recap. Yeah, that's the other thing that I don't think we mentioned is like for the regionals and YCS is because they're not usually like right next to you. You get to travel with your friends, and I think that's really cool to be able to experience. You
yeah.
get to see the good and the bad in people.
I agree.
Not really bad, more like I didn't know this about you, starfish.
Exactly.
Snoring.
So listen, here's the thing. Okay, first, just for the context of the listeners, all right, I did starfish, okay, but you could have woken me up at any time and been like, yo, like, don't. And I wouldn't have starfished. But also, more importantly, I do snore. I do
No,
snore.
no,
I do snore.
I'm the
Oh
snorer.
no, George
You
is the
do. Oh,
snorer.
you snore a lot,
Oh,
yeah. But I
it's so
just kind of
loud.
accepted it. I did starfish, okay, but did I rest up and do well the next day? No.
Yeah, I was gonna say you also did not just accept it. You moved to a chair across the room.
Oh, with the snoring? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
did. I did. It was still good though. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a fun little mini trip, you know.
Mhm. Yeah.
The
It
uh,
gets,
the only
go
the
ahead.
only thing I would say with events like YCS is when you go, right? And you guys were kind of touching on this. Just I always go and I'm always of this mindset like I'm not going to spend money. I have all the cards I need. Just like don't do that because part of the fun is like trades
Mhm.
or just like you guys were mentioning seeing cards that maybe you've never seen or when I went to Niagara I got a bunch of hero stuff that was really neat.
Mhm.
So just bring like if you have it just bring a couple bucks and
Yeah.
make sure you eat beforehand.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So that's
Also,
true for any Yu-Gi-Oh tournament, to be honest. If you've ever gone to
yeah,
one of any size, you know that you better eat.
you better eat and bring food because there's going to be one restaurant in the area that's going to serve 200 people in 30
Yeah,
minutes.
man.
It's not going to happen.
Or you buy a monster for $6 like I did at Niagara worth. Um, yeah.
Speaking of tournament styles, so we've actually been fortunate to do a couple different tournament styles. Joseph, what would you say has like been some of your highlights in terms of the tournaments we've experienced?
I'd say the 3v3s.
Yeah,
It just
tell me more.
it enhances and it brings out a different like level of gameplay. We're not only just focusing on our own match, but we're also like looking at everybody else around the table. It's like a combined effort between everybody. And like it does change the whole 1v1 mentality because you can also like get a little tidbit from your partner, like a little interaction that you might not know, be like, hey, watch out for this, and then like, oh man, and that can be the difference between winning and losing a game. um and I just enjoy the 3v3s in general. It's like one team against another team. It's
Mhm.
fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
I
I agree
agree.
with you, Joseph.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
go
I
ahead, Joe.
agree.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, Joseph, I think the 3v3 brings like such a different like aspect to just the gameplay, because you're right, like you're not only just relying on yourself to win, you need your your teammates to win also, at least one of them anyway, including yourself. But I feel like player B has like the most pressure on them because like player A and C look to them for advice, tips, or ruling sometimes maybe. And yeah, like when we were playing together, it was like, oh man, like I felt like there was so much pressure on me, like because I know like Mel had just started playing the deck. You were just playing a deck that you didn't think was gonna do anything, but you were like, okay, I'm relying on the surprise factor. And I was like, I'm like, I've been playing my deck longer than you guys had been playing the decks that you bought. And I was like, I feel like all the pressure's on me, and I have to win. And yeah, no, it's again brings a different, like I think, like mindset or mind state to the game. And overall, like I think like I really enjoyed it. um, I mean, we are invited to that 3v3 gamers choice thing, I guess, whenever they announce it. So when we do play that, I guess hopefully you guys would be carrying me.
Whenever that is, whenever that happens.
I agree. I really enjoyed the 3v3 that I did, and I really look forward to doing it again. They're a lot of fun. I have just nothing else to really add because you guys kind of said everything that I would have said. They're a blast.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of other formats, there's Edison that we're looking forward to playing.
Yeah, for sure.
Just taking it back to normal summon set, or set a monster in defense and set, and it's most
Reset.
of the time it's gonna be Raiko or that
um,
nimble card.
um, yeah, the 3v3s were helpful. I realized the value in playing a top tier deck, but not a complicated one. So like one of because I was player B playing Sword Soul. Well, yes, it was my first time bringing it to a big tournament. It was also a deck that not it doesn't autopilot. I won't call it an autopilot deck, but it is definitely helpful to see a hand and know like almost definitively like I can make at least this, and usually that's big enough against certain decks. Um but 3v3s are like if you've never experienced one, or if you're interested, like if you want to try it, like we highly recommend talking to your locals, talking to like going to a regional that has a 3v3 aspect. They're a lot of fun too, because again you're gonna see three times as many decks as you normally do, and you're going to see how people interact with each other, and you'll probably learn a lot too, just because you're going to again see three different duels happening at once, including your own. So I think 3v3 is just a really interesting. Which, speaking of which, 3v3s, the next YCS coming up is a 3v3 in Las Vegas. Um,
Ah.
and it's the first big tournament that's going to be after the ban list. So what are we thinking is going to happen? What are our thoughts on what's coming up?
I think it's gonna be a free for all. To be honest, I feel like yes. I honestly I think that Cashier is gonna take it all, but I think initially I think that top decks are gonna be kind of like a very like wild card, almost like in YCS. Well, I guess Lyon wasn't a wild card, but to see
No.
for me to see Subterrors up there was
Mhm.
like wow. I play Subterrors. Mel, I know you dabbled in Subterrors before too,
Mhm. Mhm.
and just like to see them up there, like as part of one of the top decks,
Yeah.
kind of brought a little tear to my eye. But I think that the 3v3 is gonna be again, it's gonna be like a mixture of a bunch of different things because the format isn't defined, and yeah. Again, ultimately, I think Cashier is gonna take it. The deck is too strong.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. I think free for all for sure. Other decks besides Kestir that are gonna be there. I expect Tier to be pretty far up there, to be honest with you. Um, I I don't actually expect to see Sprite. I think Sprite might really have a hard time without Elf. I do expect to see um, Sword Soul for sure and Branded Despia for sure. I'd be very surprised if they weren't up there. And because it's so soon after the ban list, sometimes when that happens, you see people bust out older decks that are like tried and true. So I wouldn't really be surprised to see like a Sky Striker in the top. I'm not going to say top 16. I don't know if it can do that well anymore. Well, I mean, I guess if the pilot's really good, but I wouldn't be surprised to see it up there because sometimes when there's new formats, people bust out, uh, the bangers. Um, and I think some people will lab with Flu and we'll see how it goes. But Sword Soul and Branded Despia for sure, in addition to Kashtira and Tearlaments.
Mm.
Oh,
Gotcha.
sorry, one more. And Labyrinth. I forgot about Labyrinth. Well,
Mhm.
I would be very surprised if there were no Labyrinth players. I don't think Labyrinth is going to be in the top 16 because
No, I don't think
trap
so
decks are
either.
tough. It's tough because it's like there's just everyone's going to kind of have it in the back of their mind and people are going to side for it, but would it be in like the top 32 or even 16, I guess if the pilot's good. I take back what I said. For sure. I think it's a strong deck.
Also, when you get to top tables and you know your opponent playing Labyrinth, you just lock 4 of their back row zones and then they just set one trap. And then
Yeah,
how
yeah.
do they break a
Yeah.
board with just one trap?
That's the thing. That's why cash is the way it is, you know.
Yeah. Um, I do think I'm not. It might be a weird take, but I don't think a specific deck is going to be winning. A specific card is going to be pretty prevalent this meta, and
Oh.
I'm gonna be putting a lot of eggs on that basket. I think Ibli is gonna be
Mm.
really strong in this meta,
Mm,
Mhm.
like almost staple to the decks that can play it. And if you're not running, like you already have to run the one Lingerable,
You mean Nightmare
and
Corruptibility, right?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
You have to run the one Lingerable, but you have to run two because of Kashtira. All right, well that's already two spots your extra deck's using, and then because of Kashtira, they can just opt out to like not even take out the Lingerable, go for a whole play, and then you already have to play two of a good card in your deck, extra deck. So you're using so much deck space to play around a single card,
Yeah.
and that one card can just cost you the games completely. So I think whoever's playing that the most optimally is going to be winning.
You
Yeah.
have to draw the card too. It's like it's almost like saying like D shifter, right? Like
Right.
if you don't draw D shifter, then
Yeah. But
crime more.
the thing is, and I guess I should say, um, what's his name? I'm blanking out. Sprite. They can bring out Ibli. Like
Mhm.
they just bring out Ibli on their regular combo with a bad hand. Literally any twos, and then they just bring out Ibli with a couple interruptions.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I think Sprite's gonna be really good.
I didn't think about that, but you're right.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be it'll be not a free for all. I see a lot more rogue coming up because this always happens when we change formats when we change
Mm-hmm.
ban lists. But I think the top decks that were I think the top decks that were the top decks for the past two formats that weren't tier elements are going to continue to be those things. I mentioned this in an earlier episode that we recorded. After Casteria, there's not really anything coming out that's like really, really big, and I think Casteria is the last one that's like the anything's changing. Like I could like Dragon Link Bestial is gonna be big. I think Sprite can still play. Despia I think will low key be the top deck. Just because that deck is pure, well, branded Despia. That deck is all gas, and they got what 3 new fusion monsters in the past 2 sets.
Yep.
Um,
And they're
I
good.
think, and they're good, and they keep playing. It's like they're a deck that doesn't care about a lot. If you hand trap them a lot, sure, you'll be fine, but you're no longer in a situation where you have a 1 card combo unless you're playing Kashtira, and even then they can kind of play around it. I would be very surprised if we saw like radical change ups. But I feel like if I had to pick a deck that's like a low key one that's gonna kind of surprise people. I think it'll be some kind of it'll be whatever the next stun deck is. So it's not gonna be Labyrinth, I don't think, because Labyrinth is more trap. But I feel like there's gonna be some kind of runic stun thing that's gonna figure out a way to essentially stall. It's gonna be the new toxic deck, which I'm sure George is gonna pick up and
Of course.
play without question. Um, but I feel like the format's still relatively unknown, and like Hester is lining up to be one of the top ones, but like we saw what happened in the OCG. Tearlaments got hit so hard, and they are still dominating. They're still doing really well because it's what people know, and people played it for so long. And I don't see that changing a whole lot here.
So I'm actually gonna cut you off on
Sure.
that one for a second, but I think they actually tamed tier a lot better here than OCG. Just for the fact that they have more Tearlament names than we do. So let's say I resolve one Tearlament name, um, and then it goes to the bottom. Now I need to find a way to shuffle my deck in order to even get that Tearlament name back in rotation. Otherwise, it's stuck to the bottom. Unlike the OCG would have multiple names. Yeah, like Kid Kalos is probably the biggest hit, but in all honesty, just the one-offs that are like really hard to. You have to really, really strategize how you're gonna play Tearlament and how to shuffle your deck. That's like the most important part. So I actually don't think Tearlament's going to be represented for 2 reasons. The reason is they're all limited, and two, it's everybody's tired of the deck and they just want to play something different. So it doesn't matter. Like Tearlament could still be at tier 0, but if no one wants to play it, then it's not gonna get any tops. So that's why I just think anybody wants to play it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think no, go ahead,
Go
man.
ahead.
Sorry.
I was gonna say I kind of disagree. I think people have shown throughout Tearlament's format, they have people like big YouTubers, like big people have said, "Hey, uh, Tearlaments became my new favorite deck."
Right.
And I think people are going to. Everybody wants to be the one that's like, "Oh, I actually broke it. I figured out like limit all them. I can
Right.
still play." And I
Right.
think that like good player like Tearlaments are a good players play that deck really well. I think that they'll find replacements. I think it's going to be less of a pure Tearlaments build and more of like I could see like
Well, now we have the Shadows.
yeah, like like
Biggest ones.
Shadal's. I could see some other pieces. I feel like Yu-Gi-Oh players want to, particularly if it's like either they'll do it to show like Tearlaments can still play, or they'll do it to say, I hate playing this deck. You need to ban these cards before you can actually before the deck will die.
To
Because
show off that you're a good player. You can
yeah,
play
it's
it.
I think they're gonna fall into one of those two. Either I love the deck and I'm a good player, so I'll figure out how to play it, or I'm a good player, I'm gonna show you why this deck you need to do more. Because every single time in the OCG they kept trying to do stuff and it didn't work. And I do think Sprite Elf getting hit is gonna hurt the deck a lot more. And I think yeah, definitely limiting some of the names are gonna be big to like hurt them. But I feel like it's kind of what Nick said, like it's math. Like you're going to you have to play with math, and with 40 cards you still have like they have a lot of replacement cards that can, fill that bucket. And there's like Castura Theomets is still a card that's at 3, which essentially gives you 3 copies of specific cards. I feel like tier is not going to die until specific names are just outright gone from the game. And
Yeah, it's facts.
Kikalos is
Honestly.
not the only one that had Kikalos, it has to be more than her.
I
Well,
mean,
because
but
now
the
it's
thing is,
really easy to make Rucolos. It's very easy to make
the thing
Rucolos.
is, if you don't shuffle the King of the Swamp, 2 Tearlaments in the grave only get you a Garura. You're
Right.
not gonna end on a Garura, so it's like it definitely has become where you would need the specific materials. Like you can't just mill the Tearlament names. Now you have to like actually mill Tearlament name plus something else.
Wait, can you
Which
really
is the
not
great part.
make? Can you really not make Rucolos anymore at all? Is that real?
You
No,
need
no,
King of the
no.
Swamp.
You need King of the Swamp. So
Oh yeah, for sure, sure.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. So you can still make it, but it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
Which is the great part about it. I personally, I'm in the boat where I'm finally liking the deck a lot more, and I'm actually able
Mhm.
to play it, without feeling bad, because there was definitely some games where I was like,
You ever felt
I'm
bad?
just I'm just
You did not feel bad when you hosed me, dude. You didn't feel bad. You were like, yeah, chain link 1, chain link 2, chain link 3, chain link 4, chain link 5. I'm like, all right, Joe,
I was
I'm gonna go
having
take a
a time of
piss.
my life.
I'm
No,
gonna take a piss. So I'll come back. But
I was grinning from ear to
no,
ear.
but I think that the deck will be there. I don't know if it's gonna win. Um, I don't know if it's gonna win, and I don't know who mentioned it. I'm gonna push back a little on Sprite showing up. I think yeah, you'll see no representation at all. Sprite really can't like do stuff without uh Elf. Not well. I know they have Sprint, but I just don't see it. You could maybe see like Sprite Runic is a deck that people play, but um, and I could see that, but without Elf, man, I don't know. Elf was pretty like important,
Yeah,
and I don't think I'm actually. It's weird to me that they hit Elf. I understand the problem because it was extremely generic, but it really makes it extremely unattractive to play Sprite. And that deck wasn't problematic, at least not in my opinion. I thought Sprite was very strong, but it wasn't overbearing. Even when it was tier 1, it wasn't like this ridiculous super threat. It was just very strong, and you had to deal with it. But I
Was
didn't think it
also
was a.
Elf
I,
was being
Elf,
taken advantage by like other
no,
decks.
and that's the problem. I just feel like it's a shame because I kind of liked that deck. I never would have bought it because it's not really my jam, but I kind of liked how it played, and I thought the fact that it made a modest number of negates, but all of them had a cost. Like you needed to have another sprite there, which is inherently more fair than like just the negate is on the monster. If you guys know what I mean, you know what I mean.
yeah.
So it's a little sad that it died, but without Elf, I just don't think it's gonna show up. Maybe the runic variant,
I
honestly,
mean,
because
Elf was
you know.
never really a sprite card. It belonged
No, I
to the
know.
streets. It was
It's
just belonged to
yeah.
every other
For the
deck
streets.
but sprite.
It's a problem, and like Sprint is like Sprint is important now for them to have, but it's not a 1-for-1 replacement in any meaningful
No,
sense.
absolutely not. No.
Yeah.
There's the Bujinki card, which
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was there. I just don't think it's gonna do well, to be honest with you.
yeah.
I mean, they'll probably just play the live twin variant, which is a pretty strong variant, and
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, yeah.
you're gonna see. I feel like you're gonna see a lot more Sprite X this, Sprite X that. It's not. You can't. It's very hard to run pure at this point. But again,
It's gonna be
I
like more
think
like an engine piece.
it's going to be a larger engine. Like it's not. I could see it not like when I think of like engines. I think of like I think it's a bigger engine than like Kashtira has. Like you could run 3 Fenrir and say Fenrir and or 3 Unicorn and things like you could run a smaller Kashtira package and say yeah I'm running a Kashtira package. I guess
Okay, I see
yeah
what you mean.
you're not going to see a Sprite package anymore. You're going to see Sprite engine with other packages versus Kashtira can run a package.
Very, very likely, yeah. You can
Sprite,
actually
Sprite,
play.
Twin Sprite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You
Yeah.
can play Adamancipator Sprite even without Elf. It's a thing that people
Right.
do. I think it's bad personally, but people do
Mhm.
do it.
Yeah, I think in the same vein, I think players who like Sprite are going to try and they're going to take it as a challenge, which I always appreciate.
Oh, of
Um,
course.
but
Mhm.
and like to the idea that like people are sick of it, so they're not going to play it. I mean, how many people like playing Flunderies?
I
Mm.
do.
Couldn't be
No,
me.
you two are in the minority. People do like Flunder players, as far as I can tell, are like I play it because it wins. I don't
Yeah.
play it because it's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I
fun.
love
No,
it.
it's that's not correct. It's really fun to play
We
actually.
have the 1% in here.
No, it's you know, everyone always complains about Flu, but I would like to tell you
Yes.
that even though it was tier 1, it never placed first ever, not one single time. It was
Mhm.
always beaten by something else. I'm not going to say it's not a top deck. It was incredibly strong, but like everyone's like, "Oh, Flu is the most oppressive deck that's ever existed." It never won an event, not once, not the whole time it was that powerful.
Let's keep it that way.
So
Well,
I
we
Flu
mean,
have
reminds
so
five
you know, everyone's like, "Oh, Flu, I can't believe the statue," and I'm like, "Yeah, the statue was obnoxious, but it never won an event." So like, I don't know,
Flu,
man. I just think it's a lot of fiction.
Flu reminds me of a trap deck. It's like a tribute summon trap deck where like it'll get you through to the finals and then everybody knows how to stop it. And you have to draw exactly perfect or you're not going to win.
Mm.
I truly
Yeah, yeah.
enjoy playing Flunderies.
I'm gonna keep
You
playing
also
it.
liked Zexal.
No, I actually, I think
Everybody likes Zexal.
I fully intend to keep playing Flu without statue. There's plenty of ways that you can play it if you do
Oh.
like 2 Scary Seas and 2 Dreaming Towns with Thrust. You could do pretty well, honestly. I think you'll see it around. I think
Oh
you'll
yeah,
see it
no,
around.
Yeah.
we're cooking. We're
Yeah,
cooking.
100%. If you think it's
Yeah,
gone, you're wrong. And there's
whatever
also
whatever you're cooking, I'm not eating it.
there are also two
Oh, you're
routes
gonna
to
eat it.
other there
You're
are
gonna
two
enjoy
routes
it.
to other
Dare I say
barrier
you're
statues.
gonna love it.
I'm just
No.
saying there are two routes to other barrier statues if you choose to play that way. I think it's the
Oh,
wrong
yeah.
way. I think it's wrong given that you can just play better cards that flood your opponent, but it's definitely a thing.
I'll say it now. I think that Snell is gonna. I've always said like, yo, this card is really good, but it's very like the conditions. It's like, I think like it's gonna see play. It's gonna see play, and I feel like this is the format it has to see play in because it flips things face down. I think like against Cashier, it's gonna work wonders. But I haven't really tested it. I've been more focused on the Telefon FTK.
I'm gonna go do a callback to a movie that George and I watched along that is a classic that we love. The wrong bird got the starlight. Snowl should never have been the starlight, and we
Oh
all
no,
know this.
never. But I'm actually glad that it did because it's affordable. If M Pen would have got the Starlight, oof.
Sheesh, yeah. I agree with George, by the way, as someone who also plays Flunder. I believe Snowl will see some play. If you if you make Snowl and then your opponent's gonna try to do a bunch of Kashtira bullshit and then you book all their monsters, they pass turn. So
I
I think
actually don't think M-Pen would have been that expensive. I think out of spite, M-Pen would have been cheap.
I think
I
it
don't
would
know,
have
man,
been.
'cause look at the ultra rare M Pen.
Oh, that card is expensive. Yeah.
I think it would have fallen in the same way that Shishao did. Like
Yeah.
it's not Ecclesia because it's not a waifu, but it's a necessary card, but it only is necessary in one specific deck.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's only a specific in one deck too. She can be the multiple decks, but you're
Big
not
shout-out-
really gonna play her in
Impressive.
other decks.
Big shout outs to George, by the way. He did have the reads on Snowl being good eventually, like months ago, and I think that you're right. I think it'll be a card, 100%. It flips over your opponent's monsters when they're trying to XE summon a lot. I mean, like, hello, it's a no brainer to me.
Yeah,
Mm.
I
Is it? Are you gonna run it? Are you gonna make it over M-Pen?
Honestly, yes, depending on the matchup.
actually,
If I'm playing you and you're playing Sword Soul, yeah, I'd rather have Snowl.
Interesting.
What are you
Hmm.
gonna do? You're gonna use your Monk of the Tenny that does nothing because it's a normal monster. I'm gonna flood that out. That's like pointless.
I'm
Absolutely
just gonna
pointless.
Vishuda and put Snell back.
I don't. No, you won't. You're bad.
Which you can. I mean, you can still do the same thing to M-Pen anyway.
Of course. I mean, it's always been like that. I'm just saying, like, a well-timed Snowl seems like it could be better than an M-Pen. The only exception really being maybe Branded Despia because they're fusing, and you guys know you can fuse his face
I
downs.
mean,
So, you know.
the only great thing is we're just not forced normal summon ever again. So
Force
it's
the
like
normal
we
summon and
actually,
walk into.
yeah,
shut up,
exactly.
Joseph.
So we have freedom.
It's nice
Shut
to
up.
be free from these
Scary
oppressive
scene.
spirits.
I
I
agree.
digress.
So yeah,
Very
that's
sweet.
how I think the meta will sort of be, I think, at Vegas. But you know, we could be totally wrong and there could be something coming through that no one expects. It's always possible.
Yeah, no,
Correct.
TK.
This is oh yeah, this is Subterra's time to rise.
No.
Fuck that
You
deck.
know that deck is just floodgates. That's
That
all
deck,
it is.
that I actually legitimately hate that deck. There are a few decks that I actually hate. I legitimately hate that deck. Final Battle is just do all of the things because we forgot that other cards should have effects. So it's going to do 5 things. Also, the art is stupid. Also, fuck all of the sub-terrors. Also, fuck Fiendus. Fuck that whole deck. I hate that deck. I wish that Konami would just ban all of them for being ugly. Ban them all. Get them out of here.
You know how you feel about Subterrors is exactly how I feel about Sky Strikers.
Don't
That's,
you dare.
yeah, I understand the kinship. I get it. I just like I cannot
don't.
stand it. It's like,
That
oh, did you want to
same
do it?
hate is real.
Did you want to
No.
do a thing? I have Final Battle and it can do everything because it has 4 different effects for no reason. I'm like, hello, what is this
18
card?
effects.
What is this like fucking card? I like, hello. I don't
Guess
know.
we're
man,
gonna have
did you-
to have a Sky Striker versus Subterror.
That probably would go in. Actually, I don't know.
It would actually be oof, I don't know. That might end the friendship.
I would
2
be
decks
curious to see
that 2 people hate. Actually,
2 friends walk into a room.
But you guys have to swap decks.
oh no.
Oh, that's a good one.
Do people play like the Red Eyes Fusion variant still or nah?
Yeah,
Subterror?
I know.
Oh, 1000%.
Yeah.
It's free.
Yeah, it is free.
Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Shout out to Lou who at Squeaky's who was like, "Oh, I'm playing Red
Up,
Eyes
man.
Fusion now because no one plays Ash," and I was like, "Lou, I hate to break it to you, Ash is coming back." He's like, "No."
Yeah. I kept forgetting to mention that, but when we were talking about like decks that might be good,
Red Eyes.
no. Red Eyes is bad. I'm saying
Sorry.
Ash is coming back. I think people will play Ash for a variety of reasons. One of them being Book of Eclipse, the other one being You Can Stop Theosis. And if everyone's expecting Branded Despia to be good, it's not bad against them either. So I think you'll see that card at 3 in a lot of decks.
We're still in limbo. I think when people are not sure if hand traps or board breakers are going to be better this format. Personally, I'm hoping that people go for board breakers because FTK stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one's gonna go for board breakers. They will, but
Maybe.
hand traps
No.
are gonna come back.
Yeah.
Don't
For
you
It's
put
sure.
that evil on
it's
me.
now worth it to go 1 for 1.
Don't you put that evil on me.
I don't
Like-
want hand. I'd hate to have I hate to have Ecclesia ashed. I hate to have Moyi ashed or impermed, but
I look forward to doing it basically
Shut
every
up.
time.
Yeah. I mean, Branded Fusion can't go unchecked.
yeah, you
No,
can.
it can't. It can't. You have to. It's one of those cards that when your opponent activates it, if you can, you literally have to respond to it.
Yeah.
You can't just be like, no, just do it. Like you have to respond.
Do the thing.
And you can't just respond with like talents.
No,
guess
no,
you
you have
gotta
to
respond
actually
that way.
respond.
Gotta
It's
thrust
it's
your
it's
opponent.
it's one of those rare Yu-Gi-Oh cards where it's like if you can negate it. There's always those situations in Yu-Gi-Oh where your opponent will do something and it'll be like, can you negate this? And then if the answer is yes, you kind of like have to. It's like if your opponent drops an evenly on you and you somehow have a way to negate it, you literally have to negate it.
Then they drop the second one.
And then and then you cry. And then you
And
just
you're like,
lose.
well,
Yeah.
if you had it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, or it's just one of those things. But I think Ash will be around for sure. I might even play Crossout Designator for Nibiru, to be quite honest with you.
I'm
but-
not even lying to you. I ordered my last secret rare crossout designator because
I had
yeah,
many.
I'm actually like a little worried about hand traps for this coming format.
Yeah.
Joseph comes in. I have many.
Yeah.
Wait, do you really?
Yes.
I mean, it's okay, George. I looked just now. It's like what, $7 it was.
George finally getting his playset of Crossout 3 years after the card came out.
Yeah. Hear me having like 7
Oh, man.
playsets.
Finally,
and,
couldn't pull it.
Tactics. Tactics thrust will be
No,
everywhere.
just say thrusting into my opponent.
Yeah, I'm a thrust. What?
What? The fuck? No, that is such a terrible, terrible name for a card.
For such an
Yeah.
amazing card that is definitely going to see play, and you're going to hear a lot of thrusting.
Oh,
I'm
there's
thrusting
gonna
into you?
be a lot of thrusting.
That's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna find out different. Like I'm thrusting into you. What?
Okay, well,
Playing thrust. What does that do? It
Judge?
thrust into you. What?
no, you actually thrust into your own deck. A double entendre.
Ah,
That would be an interesting topic. Maybe that's a future topic. Cards that are no, not thrusting. Cards that are so powerful that you have to stop them if you
That
see
is
them.
a good future topic.
Yeah, right?
Mhm,
Like,
mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
Let us
Maybe
know if like what cards do you think are like, because the branded fusions of the world where it's like, oh, I have to stop this. Engage, I need to get rid of it.
actually, I love that you said engage because
You-
that's actually
you-
not a correct answer. Sometimes letting your opponent do engage is like unfortunate, but there's other things that are more important. Like a fucking Widow Anchor is super annoying.
How do you stop Widow Anchor?
Yeah, you
With
don't.
if you're stopping a spell or trap with another spell or trap, I don't see the problem. Are
There
you
are
talking?
more.
I'm sorry. Wait, were you talking about ashing things or just
Yes, most
negating
likely
things?
Yeah, like
ashing.
hand
Oh,
trapping
okay.
things. Yeah.
I thought you meant just negating. I was like, yeah, you hit
No.
Solomon or some shit.
No, like
Oh,
Oh
you
yeah,
heard
yeah.
it here. Let engage go through, everybody.
no,
No,
don't
I didn't
listen.
say that. I didn't say that. I'm just
That
saying
is
that like
absolutely what you
if
said.
you no, this isn't this isn't Sky Striker propaganda. I'm saying I'm saying
I'm okay with it.
I'm saying if if you have like a solemn set and your opponent isn't on anything good and they're like, oh, engage, be like, all right, what are you gonna get? Fucking Widow Anchor, and then you stop that. I don't know. It's
You
a
guys seen that the Bujinki card with Hashima? It's actually been going up in price.
The link
And
too?
yes,
Yeah,
I
yeah. It's like $20.
yeah, it was like $5 not that
card?
long ago.
What card?
Bujinki
Ujinki Ahashima.
Oh,
Hashi.
that's what you mentioned before.
Oh
Got it.
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
What did
Yeah.
that? How did that even come up?
So some people are
Right.
I've read that some people are using that as a substitute to
Elf.
elf.
It's for yeah. It came up because we were talking about Sprite.
Yeah.
Talked about Sprite like 5 minutes ago.
Sorry, I'm just like
Okay.
sometimes sometimes I randomly check YGO prices and then
Oh, okay.
like, oh shit, like why is this card going up? And then I go into a rabbit hole.
Nice.
Honestly, it's not a bad habit though. It keeps you in the loop, right?
Yeah, but you're almost always too late to like if you need to buy it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, oh
Also,
shit, it went up. Well,
whoops, them's the bricks.
them's the
Yeah.
bricks.
I was pretty upset when I didn't get the adventure package when I should have.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thanks, Mel.
Yeah.
But still,
Yeah. Actually, I just looked. Runic Tip and Runic Fountain went down a lot, so I might buy those.
yeah.
I like that deck.
I
Just
like
really
it.
bother my opponents.
I think vegetables are not gonna be as prevalent, but like it'll still catch people off guard. Cause like
Yeah.
a DD Crow with a body on the field, and if it's Magnamood, you get another +1.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I haven't dropped in pricing. I thought they would, but they're kind of like sitting steady at like the $15 mark.
Well, it's because they were so powerful against so many decks, because there's a lot of light and dark decks that I think people are not willing to like.
There
They're
is no
not
reason to
sure.
let them
There's
go.
no
Yeah.
reason. Yeah, there's no reason to like not think that they're gonna still be good. You're not gonna definitely play 3-3-1 or 3-3-3. You're just gonna play 3 of Magma Hood, maybe 3 Druid Swarm or 2 or 1, and then not you're not playing Serenir, you're playing Baldrake.
Yeah, yeah. I have a like I have cards that I think of as staples that I just kind of won't get rid of, even if they're not good at that time. And I have filed the Bestials under that header
Mhm.
because I am there is an inevitability that a light or a dark deck gets really strong in the future, like 100% basically.
Oh, that I just put made to order Made Outfitter in there
Yeah.
Oh
because
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that
yeah.
card's gonna be really good. I feel like that card was one meta too late. Like
It's
that would have been a
possible, yeah.
crazy card.
It's
Yeah.
Definitely a
I can
topic.
see it
What
being good.
card made it a format too late? There's a couple
I-
of cards I can think of that like was just one meta too late or one card set too late from being like OP.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe that could be a future segment too. We can really dig into that more.
Mhm,
'Cause
mhm.
there's a couple that are like that. I kind of feel that way about something like Baldrake. Like now that it's, out of fashion, why would you play it? But yeah.
I mean, Branded will play it. That's why.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Engine.
Yeah, Branded would be a really good card to use that against.
Hmm. Yeah, you're right actually.
It's like, oh, you want to brand it in red? Get rid of that shit.
Or like Tearlaments Cashier is not super late, but a little bit late, but not super late. Still really good to be honest, but
No, that makes I feel like that's
yeah.
it'll be an
Also,
interesting time.
actually, this is unrelated. I was thinking this a couple of days ago. I like low key want to play Scareclaw Pure, like low key kind of. I just know that it's like not that good, so I feel like I shouldn't. But like, I don't know. I think the problem is that it's like you make like this one big beefy link, right? And then you have to protect it, and it's like a battle phase deck. But it's a little more intricate than that, in that it's a battle phase deck, but it's not like War Rocks where you just have to like your opponent has to be eating rocks for you to be able to do it. Like it's actually like not that bad, but you have to kind of like it seems like it's a little complicated to set up, and it's like an OTK deck, and I kind of like it, but I also kind of feel like it's bad. I'm very split about it, but I've been thinking about it as like a for fun cheap deck. Um, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Will tell you that I played against a Scareclaw. Like I played against it where the boss monster was that with adventure. One imperm kills that deck.
Oh, word. See, this
I
is
Because
good to
you
know.
just
I think you're not gonna like it. I think
yeah
just use the money on like the Edison deck, you know?
Yeah,
yeah
yeah, yeah. So it's like if you imperm their tryhard, they're like, well, all right.
Yep. GG.
Mm-hmm.
Extend
yeah.
your
That's
hand.
fair. That's a shame. I kind of like I like the idea of that deck, even if it's not that good.
Well, maybe like in a year from now when it gets outside support.
And
Yeah,
it'll get reprints too, and whatever will replace the Megatons.
Yeah.
it's something that I would play if it was literally dirt cheap, and it is dirt cheap. Except tryhard is $12, and you need 3. And
I
I'm
I
like,
have
mean,
those.
you know,
I mean that's
for a deck that's like just piss, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
spend $12 on
yeah.
it.
I mean, it's a good card.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
generically, it's a good card.
It is. It really
It's
is.
a skill drain, so
No, it's like it has a lot going for it. It's just am I gonna buy it for $12.97? Nah,
yes.
nah, no way, no
Yeah.
way. It's a shame though. I actually, and then I really look forward to Manadome too because I don't know. I just kind of think it'll be like I actually think it'll be bad, but I'm curious what it's gonna
Yeah, I
do. What it's
actually
gonna
have
do.
been seeing a lot of gameplay of Manadome. It's extremely underwhelming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the lore, right? There's like the past one,
They
right?
get
That was the
worse.
scare. No, no,
as
no.
they
It's like
go.
no, no. Listen. The lore, right? It's like you got like the Scareclaws, right? Because those are like the ancient ones, and maybe they're like kind of bad. And then the Tears were like crazy, and then the Cashiers are like, no, we gotta kill the mermaids, and they're like really strong. And then the Manadome ones are supposed to be like in the future, and then he's like, no, I'll stop you from being evil, but they suck. So it's like the past is bad and the future is bad, but the present is pretty good. And then it's like a statement about society.
Hmm.
That's my theory. Yep. You heard it here first, folks.
I know that we're like coming to an end, but
You can tell, right? You can
Yeah.
kind of tell. We're scraping the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, I heard that metal crunching pretty hard.
so I got my takeout deck box from Gemtech. Shout out to Brandon.
Yep.
Wow, like craftsmanship, just like the overall feel of this deck box is incredible. I wanted this as soon as I saw that it was going to be released, and did not disappoint at all. This is like hands down my favorite deck box right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have been meaning to get some deck boxes from him for basically an eternity. At some point, I will actually do it.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Five
they are
bucks.
really nice though, for sure.
Yeah. Super cool. All right. Well, we appreciate you all listening to us. Shout out to all of the people that have been on our podcast. We appreciate
Mm-hmm.
you all and all of you that have listened and continue to listen. I know that we sometimes ramble, so we appreciate you just like being here with us. Shout out to Squiggies for the Squiggies people for listening and telling us and
Yeah.
giving us feedback.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Also, let us know in the comments if you like my really stupid lore theory. I think it's real.
Mm.
Yeah. Also,
You know,
to the squeak
Manadome is real.
to the squeakies people, I don't hate you. I like all of you. I just don't have time to go to locals. I think Joe, you were like, yeah, they're just like, does Nick hate us? And you're like, no, he's just like busy. But no, I don't hate you. I think you guys
I
are
actually
delightful.
started that rumor.
Yeah. What'd you
Classic Joe. Classic Joe. He was like, if I tear him down, he won't come flew me to death. But now that deck is not as
you
good, so
all?
it's okay.
He doesn't like you. He never liked you.
Damn.
Psychologically, it's part of the game. You psychologically freak out your opponent.
Yeah.
You could
I mean,
you can reach us at heartofthepodcast@gmail.com.
oh
What's
hell
that
yeah.
email address?
It is heartofthepodcast@gmail.com and Heart of the Podcast on Instagram.
Mhm.
Heart of the Podcast
Oh yeah.
on YouTube.
Yep.
White
Mhm.
as Zenata likes to call it.
Doing
What?
Yeah.
TikTok with all your favorite dances.
We have a
Yeah,
Who's
TikTok.
on
we will.
TikTok?
We would probably do some like if you want us to do it, we will do it.
Yeah, no, if you want me to make a fool of myself, that's fine. I could do that. That's
Yeah.
cool.
I do.
We'll dance for change.
Mhm.
Shiny cardboard, preferably.
Yeah,
Agreed.
it's
I
true.
don't know what just happened. I don't know where we went.
Anyway,
I think that we need to wrap up the episode.
Sure, yeah. This has been Heart of the Podcast with MSTC. I'm
That's our
Mel.
OnlyFans.
Oh my god.
We play raw.
one more time.
Unsleeved.
OnlyFans, unsleeved, raw,
While
eat
eating
only-
Doritos.
while eating Doritos, and none of us have showered for 3 weeks.
Oh yeah, that's
The
what I
only way to
want.
play Yu-Gi-Oh.
In a basement.
Well, it's
Oh.
gotta be a dark basement. Yeah, I
It's
want
a
to be as
very dark basement, very musty,
yeah.
humid,
Mm-hmm.
no
wanna be as-
ventilation.
I want to be as pasty as possible for this.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I want to like really alienate my friends and my girlfriend.
Get
I
us
want
out
them
of
to
here,
start-
Mel.
All right, yeah.
I was gonna say, if you want us to play in the Last of Us basements, please let us know. I
definitely
tried to
will do
start.
that.
Like, we're still waiting to hear from the three of you. I started the intro. I could do it again.
All right,
yeah,
let's
yeah.
do
No,
it
do it
again.
again.
Do it again.
All right. Heart of the, what?
Yeah,
This is the Heart of the Podcast with MSTC. I'm Mel.
not Joseph.
I'm not Nick.
And I am not. I think I ran out of knots. I am Nick. Goodbye.
Oh my god. We'll see you next time.